Well, hey, everybody. Andy here. Thanks for joining me tonight. I am back from Colorado. Had a great time out west, slowly getting caught up on sleep and feeling a little bit more like my usual self. We really kind of pushed it out there, to say the least. Had an awesome trip. We're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about what worked, what didn't work, the route that we took, some of the experiences that we had. And also interact with you guys that are in the chat too. So I see a few of you are already saying hello and active. So welcome. So we may answer some questions too. We had pretty full slate. We were out there for 7 days of activities and then some travel. So quite a bit to get into. And all the guys are with me tonight that were on that trek. So we've got Taylor from SouthernHike, we've got Jeff from JBenHikes, and we've got Brad from As Crow Flies Hiking that are all here tonight. So without further ado, let me bring those guys on. Gentlemen.
Hello.
How are you doing?
What's up?
Thanks for doing this. Thanks for coming on. And we're going to be here for about an hour. So I appreciate everybody's time. Getting back into the real world might be a little tough. How's the week been so far?
Jet lag.
Jet lag?
Feels like it.
Exactly.
Crow, how are you doing?
I'm fine. I need to catch up on sleep. I was going to go to bed at 7:30, but I had to do this thing.
7:30. That's a late night for you, huh? What is
Yeah, it is.
Normally about 4:00 he goes to bed.
Did you have your pre-nap, your pre-evening nap?
That's
Yeah,
right.
I did.
If you get the pre-evening nap, you're usually good until at least 6:30.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the trip out west. Taylor, why don't you kind of lead this off? Because
Why's it got to be me?
It's either going to be you or Crow, because I wasn't the first one that came up with this idea. So it was you guys. So I know I got roped in at some point later on down the road. So
Oh, you're talking about just how it all started? Yeah.
Just how you even came up with this idea.
It was technically, I had talked to Crow about us doing a long trip this summer together. And then Crow was talking about, why don't we check into the Colorado Trail? And I think, Crow, didn't you talk to Jared then? And he said, you asked him what was probably the best section to do, like 100 miles to do. And he said about the San Juans.
Yeah, Backcountry Champion said this section was his favorite or scenic.
Okay.
And he wasn't wrong.
No.
And then we just discussed, seeing if anybody else wanted to go. And I think we had we had hiked with you, Andy, earlier this year and kind of mentioned it to you. And then we talked to JBen also.
Yeah.
Another Alabama boy.
Another Alabama boy. I'm Crow's boy, I guess.
I was the one leading the rear the whole time, so y'all were way ahead of me.
So
I'm Crow's bodyguard, actually.
Well, you got to make him look good. You were like taking the pictures, the drone shots,
Sure.
Well, and I got roped in. It was kind of like, Andy, it was early this year, spring sometime. You guys were like, hey, do you want to do the Colorado? We got a spot. I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And they're like, perfect. Now you're in charge of planning it all. So why don't you get back to us when you got it all booked and everything? But
I think
where are we going?
I think it comes down to the Crow doesn't plan. I can plan, but I hate planning. So, there you go.
I just tag along.
Right. And then Jeff got added shortly after. And I think we had most of it set at that point in time, but all right. So the goal was, we wanted to do sections 25 through 28, the last 4 segments of the Colorado Trail, which were from roughly Silverton down to Durango, which was about somewhere between 70 and 80 miles, something like that. I think total mileage with everything for me ended up being just over 80. Is that about what you guys got?
Yeah.
So
I don't know though.
Now-
The
go
mileage
ahead.
was weird. The mileage was weird. Like I, my watch showed a lot more miles than it did far out.
Crow, you got to remember YouTube miles.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
There's a little of that.
I actually had no idea from day to day how many miles we were doing. That's why I asked so many questions. I literally just showed up. That's really the way it felt for me.
I think Andy asked about. I mean, Andy answered about 40 questions a day.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
he was really the one that
That's
had
true.
everything in his head.
Andy, how many more climbs we got?
Yeah. Well, and it was detailed stuff like that. It's all right. So we got a climb come up at 3 miles. How many feet elevation gain? I'm like, I have to look it up. I'm not sure, but it worked out.
I mean, I was so in the know that I was giving people wrong directions. So Andy banned me from the very
That's right.
start.
That was like day one. Day one, you're like, we're there.
I was like, okay.
I forget what you had said, but yeah, it was something like, oh yeah, we're there in like half a mile and we had like 4 miles left or something like that.
We're almost there.
We're almost there, right? So we did, let me see if I could show this for those that are following along.
I was one of those guys that looking at the elevation profile, I felt ignorance is bliss. And so I chose to try not to look at the elevation profile as much as possible. Crow would dwell on it.
He would study it and restudy it.
Yeah. You got to do it regardless. So
I wish I hadn't looked. If I hadn't looked, it would have been better. But it didn't matter on day one because right out of the gate, you're just straight up for 2,500 feet.
Well, and before we even got hiking, what was the perk that we got to do before that?
Oh yeah, take the train.
How do we get there? Yeah.
yeah,
What'd you guys think of the train ride?
I thought Thomas the Train was awesome. I mean, it was really cool.
It was a grand entrance to into the backcountry. Definitely was that.
Absolutely.
I didn't think we would get the views that we got on that train ride. Like, not right out of the gate because you got to get out of the city first. But then once we started climbing and that smoke just kind of gave me a fog in my head. After the smoke cleared, you start looking over the cliffs. And you're like, oh my goodness, look down below us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
There was definitely some wild like ridge lines we were on in the train there.
Yeah, let me see if I can show some of that too.
That was definitely the wildest part to me, is like being just dropped off right there at Elk Park in the middle of the wilderness, and we're like, well, we're here now.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we were on that for what, a few hours at least?
Close to 3, I think.
3 hours.
Yeah, 3.
So we
it actually went by fast though. It didn't seem like it was that long, at least for me.
I think Jeff must have peed 8 times while we were on that train.
Well, it's all about hydration.
Every time I turn around, that dude is headed to the bathroom.
That's true.
I was the same way. I think it's that Diamox. Isn't it, Jeff, the Diamox?
Yeah, the Diamox, and then I was hammering liquids because anytime I go to Colorado, I get a headache and from elevation, and so the remedy to that for me is water. And so, but the byproduct that is going to the restroom multiple times. So.
Well, the lady on the plane, when we were getting off the plane, she said, you can't get up and go to the bathroom yet. And I just about peed my pants because she wouldn't let me go in the bathroom on the plane. Because I got up like 4 times during the plane ride.
Andy, I didn't even know you videoed while you were walking. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I almost fell off the train like twice because you get to that section between cars where it's like It just sways. So if you're holding, you have nothing to hold on to, and
Yeah.
you almost lost me. But
we got ahead because we had made that drive. The day before was kind of a long drive from Denver down to Durango.
Felt like it took 3 days.
Yeah, that was what, six and a half hour drive, something like that.
With the 7 drink stops and pee stops we took.
It wasn't necessarily on me.
All right.
Yeah.
So we get into town. We stop at the hotel. We sleep there. We get up early. We're at the train station. I think we had to be there for an 8:15 departure at 7:30 to load our packs, if I remember right. So we got to load the packs. You pay a little extra. They put them in the storage car. And then we leave at 8:15. There's about a 3-hour ride up the mountain. They stop at the first stop, which was Needleton, or they had a couple stops actually, but the first stop where they really let people off was at Needleton, which was those that are coming back from hiking the Chicago Basin area, which has a couple 14ers and tons of, like, there was probably more people getting on and off at that stop than the next one, which was ours at Elk Park.
No, we were Eagle Creek. Eagle Pass.
That's right. How'd that get?
I was just following Andy.
You kept telling me like, oh, it's Eagle Creek. Got to tell them to put your bag to get off there. And so I came back and told you that I told them it was Eagle Pass.
Yeah. And I think they were like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Or you were just trying to confuse me.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
So
that was cool getting our packs off there.
Yeah. So we got to Elk Park, and there were 2 groups, us and one other group. And the train just kind of gives you your bag, and then within like 3 or 4 minutes, they're gone. And
they were gone quick.
You realize you're all alone.
Yeah. And then the climb starts.
and then the climb started.
Yeah.
For the next 80 miles.
Yeah, for the next 80 miles. It never went down. It just kept up and up and up and up.
It really did feel that way.
At times it did, especially that first day. That first day was just straight up.
That was a punch in the throat. Yeah, that definitely a throat punch. Like,
for some more than others.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on with me, but y'all were having to carry me for a little bit.
Crow, I think we'll always have to carry you.
Yeah, I think Crow did fine that first day. So they actually dropped us off back here. The train tracks kind of have this little turnaround. We had to walk down the tracks to catch the trail. And then if you look at the profile over here to the side, all we do is switchbacks from, what is that? About
Pass.
9,000 feet. Yeah, up to Molass Lake. And then over I don't know if we go past Molass Pass, but we go over the road up into Little Molass Lake, where we camped the first night. So it was a shorter day. It was only like, I think it mapped 5.65 is what it says, but it was closer to like 7 miles or something like that when we were done.
Yeah.
I think we were all tired that day from just planes, trains, and automobiles, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the best night of sleep that I got the entire trip was that first night.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, the first story to come at this campsite, Crow, you should tell us about it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I packed like 4 times here in my basement. And somehow through that process, I lost my stakes, and I didn't have any stakes for my tent that night. But Jeff found one in the ground that was like an Ozark Trail tent stake that was about 12 inches long, but it was solid. It was solid though. And then I found ones about the same, those old aluminum ones. And so then Andy gave me 4 and Jeff gave me 1. So I was able to pitch my tent with everybody else's stakes.
Pretty
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah. And then what happened?
Yeah.
And then the next
rest
morning,
of
I
the
found him
story.
in a bag. I found him in my bag.
Congratulations, Crow.
Yeah, that's dang. I mean, I kept looking for those things, and I felt crazy. And then they're right there.
Yeah.
Is that the campsite?
That was
That's the
close
lake.
by. That was the lake. We camped just a little off of that.
That was a great campsite.
nice and flat.
Yeah, especially that we found a couple steaks.
Yeah. And the second story, Andy.
Oh yeah, Andy, it's your turn.
Oh yeah. So we're starting to cook dinner. Gosh, how many people has this happened to? A different variation. Sitting by the campfire. It's I don't know. It's not really hot. It's not really cool. There's no weather. It's like clear skies for the most part. I remember, and fire up my stove. I gotta boil two cups of water for whatever I was having that night. I forget. And I'm like, oh, I need my spoon to mix in my meal into my pot. Let me go grab my spoon, come back. My chair has blown over. The guys are still sitting there like talking and eating.
And I literally noticed it fell over.
My chair has knocked my pot off the burner and then is melting itself to the burner as the guys talk amongst themselves about I don't know.
Look, I don't think
talking about. And I was like, oh my God, my chair. And they're like, oh, I didn't even know.
Oh, your chair. Yeah.
It's right next to us.
I don't think y'all caught it, but I literally said while sitting there, I said, it smells like somebody's burning plastic.
That's pretty awful. That's pretty awful.
Yeah.
And the chair had a perfect hole for a poop chair.
Like this perfect hole.
It was just my summer version of the chair. So, it would have a little breeze in the back, so I didn't sweat. It was perfect.
There it is. It's still functional.
I was able to still sit in that, and it would support my weight, of all things. So, yeah, that's it. That's the Helinox summer campfire chair.
That's the modified version.
That's right. You can do that at home on your own.
So
Did you look up to get a new cover?
I did. They're out of stock right now, so I gotta wait.
So
Hopefully
the moral of the
back
story
up.
is that the Helinox material and open flame do not mix. Is that the moral of the story?
No, but I
Okay.
think if you remove it quickly from the open flame, you can salvage it. If you just sit by and let your buddy's chair burn,
And it just continues just to burn.
then it will get worse and worse. But
You got to have hiking partners that have situational awareness, though.
which apparently I did not have.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that at the time. So that is something I learned about my hiking mates on trail.
Crow, you were one to be talking. That next morning, I was like, hey, dude, you watch my gear while I go to the bathroom real quick? Next thing I know, I come out, and you're all the way up the trail. Jeff, thankfully, is being a nice guy, watching all my stuff. My camera sitting on top, everything.
I thought you wanted me to watch it the night before, not the morning of.
Okay, all right. We'll leave
There
it at
must have
that.
been multiple requests, and I just selectively chose some.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
But first, other than a few mishaps, then not having stakes for a tent and burning your chair for fun, it was a pretty nice campsite. Would you guys agree, disagree?
No, totally
Yeah.
agree. I stepped out one of like 1,000 times in the middle of the night to use the restroom because I was fully hydrated, and the stars were amazing. And so it was very clear that night. And that's one thing that really sticks out in my mind next to Andy, you said your chair catching on fire and Crow not having stakes was the expanse above us. It was just amazing, absolutely amazing. Uh,
The weather was great there too, and they had like vault toilets, like 30 yards away from where our campsite was, up at the parking lot. So you didn't have to go dig a cat hole or anything like that. You had the lake, and you had.
That was my last bathroom poop for like 5 days.
Wow.
TMI. Wow.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything else that we came across.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, I had 2 really nice poops on a tree. So
we're talking about this. Now, this is what it came down to. We're talking about bowel movements.
Was this day 3?
Day 3 or 4
Was
or
it?
so.
I think it was day 3.
Day 2 was the explosive diarrhea.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I thought so. Maybe I'm skipping my days. I don't know.
It wasn't multiple days.
No, it was just.
It was just the one.
I think it was just the one. Maybe it was 2 days.
I think there was
don't
2
remember.
different days, if I remember right.
I think you're right.
Does that leave no trace explosive diarrhea or no?
There was no coming back from that one. That tree took it in the face. So, and anybody that came past that on the trail was going to see it because it was like almost waist high. So that's all I could do.
That's amazing. You're an amazing man, Crow. You're just absolutely amazing.
It's part of life, and it's certainly part of life on the trail when you're taking Diamox and your stomach's messed up. It's just part of it.
I just remember he was in front of me and he was like, "All right, y'all go. I'm going right now." He's like throwing his pack off immediately.
It was happening.
You could tell he was like, "Get this pack off me right now."
Yeah,
Dude,
I think we have video of it.
Oh my god, dude!
That's exactly what happened, and that tree took it.
So anyway, okay. So we wake up at Little Molasse Lake. We'd completed what 7 miles, 6 miles, something like that.
Yeah.
We've got day 2 on the agenda, which I think was supposed to be about 14 miles, something like that, up and over our first pass. This was the only time we got a little bit of rain on the entire on the track. JBen even had a chance. It was so nice that morning to pull out the drone and get some amazing shots.
Yeah, I hate that I don't have it where we could see it now. I haven't even looked at it myself. I've been so busy with trying to get back on normal schedule, and
That's me.
And seeing how I got home so late on the Sunday, I just like, I was like, I'm just gonna let it set. I just need to not do anything, and spend time with the family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
I do have amazing shots. I know for a fact.
I can't wait to see those. Yeah, I can't wait to see that.
Well, and it was like set the stage. It was like this huge open field as we're kind of climbing up over the ridge. There's wildflowers all over the place.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
I wonder if I have any shot of that.
Yeah, follow me on Instagram. You'll probably end up seeing them. JBenHikes.
Hey, don't forget, I still want that footage.
Yeah, I'm gonna create the Google file, and I'll definitely let everybody have it and chop it up however they want to do it.
Thanks, man.
So
I think Crow needs a yawn counter because it's past his bedtime.
You can put that below him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so that's where it was.
Yeah.
Look at those views.
Wow, look at that, guys.
I'm looking to see if I have still have that low resolution screenshot, and I'll text it to the group. Oh yeah.
But we were climbing up that very place right before the drone, remember? And then that kid's looks like he's about 14, is just bicycling up the trail, passing everybody, never stopped, left dad and uncle or whoever in the dust. And he just gone up the trail, never stopped. I couldn't believe it. That kid was a beast.
Was it this kid? Was that kid?
Yes, that's him. Yep.
Just he
was gone. And the other guys behind him stopped, but he never stopped. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
This is the first big trail though I've been to where you really have to watch out for mountain
I was about to
mountain
say
bikers.
that.
Have you guys done other mountain biking, hiking, like
No.
co-use trails?
I've been on trails where you have to watch out for livestock, like oxes and stuff. I went to Nepal a couple of years ago, and they would literally knock you off the side of the mountain until you were hugging the mountain. But they'd come through, you'd hear their bells just ringing, and you better hug the mountain or they will. They're not stopping. So bikes will stop. So, and I almost impaled somebody with my trekking pole, a cyclist. Luckily, he stopped before he ran into my trekking pole. That would have been bad. But an animal, a livestock, they don't stop.
What about
and they created those ruts in the trail. So I know, Greg Morton Outdoors was commenting about it, but there's like that rut in the middle where it just digs out. And so there was a couple times I kind of rolled my ankle a little bit because it's so deep in there where that one rut goes down the middle. And then you see other trails created on the side to kind of counterbalance that.
Yeah, like you'd roll your ankle. It was hard to, unless you were walking right in the middle of it. Sometimes you'd even walk on the sides of it because it's just this.
It was making my ankle sore.
Dirt track is kind of what it felt like. You were in their world. It wasn't like the trail looked like it was more for mountain bikers than it was for hikers. Some of those stretches.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So everybody felt pretty good. Day 2. We had a little bit of rain, not much, just a little sprinkle, fake sprinkle going up and over the pass, but enough to kind of spook us into putting
our rain gear on.
Putting our rain gear on.
Yeah. You could see it off in the distance, and it was pretty heavy.
It was almost, once it got more east of us too, like it just like broke loose on that side of the Rockies too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you always hear that wet mountains create their own weather systems a lot of time, and even it looked like it almost a peak split it at one point, and it went down another valley. And I was like, oh, thank goodness we're not in that. That's about the time I told Crow, I was like, hey, look behind us, look at that.
Yeah.
It was just coming down. But we were very fortunate.
It was like we got a little window when we got through it. We got just a touch of it. Then when we sat down right before we went over that pass, you look back and all you saw was rain on those other peaks.
And then magically it all cleared up by the time we got up to that pass. That was also cool. It just was nice and clear, and it just moved on. I can appreciate that for that's it right there. Yeah. I can appreciate that, out west, being able to see off in the distance versus here on the East Coast. It's so occluded with foliage and trees and everything. Sometimes you're in deep valleys, and that goes straight up. You can't really see what's coming until it's on top of you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really cool to see it off in the distance like that.
And unbelievably, that was it. We never saw rain again.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. Dared not to speak about it the entire time. I didn't bring bad juju, and then Crow, he started talking about it. It's the last name. Mindy was like, "Shut up! You can't talk like that. You're gonna bring it on us."
He was trying to.
Yeah. Jeez, Crow, bringing bad luck on us, man.
I got confused on Camp 2. What was the campsite number 2?
Remember where those wasn't it after where that bridge was, where we were down in that canyon?
Oh, that was 2?
Yeah.
With the thru hiker ladies that were there.
Yeah,
Right.
the teachers that
were smoking us every day.
they totally were.
Yeah, they were fast.
They were.
I think we were all pretty tired that night and just really wanted to find a camp. We didn't really care.
Yeah, so it was like this little horseshoe canyon kind of thing that we were in. We had to hike down one side of it to get into the back end of the canyon, and then you had like the cascading creek that came down.
Yeah.
That's
So you
it.
could see that. And so there was a campsite right there in front of us that if you wanted to climb out over the water, you could camp right there, or you could camp back in the trees or off screen right, which is where the teachers were.
Yeah.
But then the canyon just fell away.
There, you know, I'd say when I came back that night, there was somebody camped out there in a tent, in a freestanding tent. They looked like they had a huge incline they were laying on.
Oh, that middle section. I went down to look at it, and you have to cross the water, which is rushing pretty good to get to that spot. There's no like land bridge. And
To get over there.
If you lost your footing or something, then it's like 100-foot falls that goes off to the side. So I was like, I'm not even gonna like mess with this. I'm just going back up to where the guys were.
Yeah, campsites are definitely a premium at that area, because there was considerable distance past that was the next campsite, and you're just so tired. It's the end of the day.
And it's
You're
dry
like,
beyond there.
I'll just make do with what's back at that other campsite. So I raked up enough and everything just to level it out some where I was, because it seemed like it was all slanted.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of open spots. It was just kind of like stuff your tents into whatever little opening you could find. You know, this is my tent, but you can see kind of Taylor's in the background up between some trees, and Crow, you were up there too. And Jeff, you were right behind me, but it's kind of slanted. There's no real open, flat, usable spot. You just had to kind of make do with whatever we could.
Yeah.
And then it's the next day. The day 3 is where we go to the campsite where it's the last water, right? This we had water between.
Yeah, that's
was
right.
it 3? Yeah, 3. Okay.
The third night, we had a camel that morning. Or I guess it was the fourth morning, right, Andy? We had a camel.
It was the fourth morning, because we came over that pass.
Yeah.
And we camped at probably the best site just past that pass. We had that water. And then that next morning we hiked down to the water and cameled up and carried like 1,000 pounds of water.
Yeah. Yeah, that was off a little bit. This was day 2 to that little horseshoe canyon where we ended up camping like over here somewhere. So you can kind of see the elevation of the day up and over the pass and then down to water.
Straight down,
And then the next day, if we went into day 3, we had a climb up and over a summit kind of in the morning. So the first climb up, and then...
Was that Blackhawk, or were we past Blackhawk already?
I think Blackhawk would have been... Yeah, Blackhawk was at the end of the day. That was the last climb that we did. So we did Blackhawk right here at the end, up and over that pass. That was the tallest one that day. So we had 2 little passes that we went over, and then Blackhawk, that climb at the end for day 3.
Is that where we met the dad and his 2 girls on Blackhawk? Or was that the next day?
It was the day before, wasn't it?
Or
it was some pass.
Wasn't it? I think it was the day before.
Day before.
Yeah. Whatever pass that was, we were up there, and that's when they started telling us they've been doing it since they were little, doing section hikes, and they were finishing.
Yeah,
that pass too was the closest I probably felt to altitude sickness while we were there. My head was pounding when we were up there.
Was Blackhawk?
No, the one before that, the day where Crow was talking about the girls and the dad was. Right there after the rain. I circled back a little bit. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, because they all kind of bleed together to me.
Yeah.
Of when, like, we ran into a few people, but would you guys say that it was pretty sparsely traveled by backpackers. Like there weren't that many people that we'd run into over the course of the day.
Wasn't too many.
Especially when we were in the water carry section, you didn't see nobody.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
then it fell off because up until day 4, we had water crossings were pretty common. There was no issue we didn't have to carry extra water. It was just, just manage your miles. When you get thirsty, fill up. Like it was pretty available. And then when you hit day 4, you get onto a 22-mile stretch of the trail, which there's not consistent water. So it's seasonal. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. So you're on to like camel up max capacity to make it through the day. And you might even have a dry camp that night when you get there. So we were worried about making it through that day and having enough water and then still having enough to cook that night and the next morning.
That's right.
Yeah, I was already starting having contingency plans. Like I told Crow, I was like, I'm not even going to eat if we don't find water. I'm just going to sip on my water at night because that food will just further dehydrate you, And then eventually the next day we'd come across water and I could snack then. But I was already starting to plan that into my head, how I'm going to manage this situation. And, food absorbs water to process in your body. And so, and further, potentially, it's that fine balance that you walk between having calories and being dehydrated. And you can survive a lot longer without food, but you can only survive a certain amount of time without water. So water takes precedence. But there's this fine line that you take there between the two. But it worked out. It definitely worked out.
Yeah. Taylor, you were kind of the guy that was in charge of water stops, looking that up. How was Far Out for that?
I mean, it was pretty accurate on everything, and especially at the end of that carry too. Thankfully, we had like latest comments saying within the last couple of days about water still flowing. It was just a trickle, but water was still flowing.
Yeah.
But Far Out Gut Hook, it came in clutch for sure, especially when it comes to water, as it always does.
Yeah.
But especially even coming down to even coming down to trying to hunt camp too. That was a big thing.
Yeah.
I think there were like, was there 15 people there that night at the water source?
Maybe about
12?
10. I'd say 10 or 12.
But they were all huddled around that one little trickle of water through that leaf, and that was sustaining life.
Oh, absolutely. And you could tell, like, because it was we did a 15, 17-mile day to get to that water stop, because that was the only seasonal flow over that 22-mile stretch. So there was nothing up until that point, and then everybody just stopped at that one spot and camped and then moved on the next day because there was nowhere else to camp that had water. So we were all packed in. I wonder if I have pictures of that.
Was that the closest night we were together, like our tents on top of each other? That
would have been.
We were circling the wagons almost. We were kind of facing each other.
And if you remember, the next morning, that thru hiker that was going north said, "Hey, is this where the water source is?" And we were like, "Yeah, dude, because if you don't get it here, you got what?" He had like 20 miles left for the day with no water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff, I think we were close enough to read bedtime stories to each other, to be honest.
That's right.
Oh yeah, it was pretty tight. I'm trying to find video of that campsite because that was a tight little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot about that guy, Crow, because he was like, "Is there any water here?" I was like, "Dude, you better be cameling now."
Yeah, because he didn't know that he was passing the site. He thought it was somewhere else. I was like, "No, it's right here." And I thought you had to walk down, 20, 30 yards down the hill, but it was actually literally right below one of the guy's tents that was next to us. Sam that was a teacher. Well, everybody we met that were teachers. So
yeah,
they were all hiking during the summer.
I kind of felt left out. I wasn't an educator.
and through hiking, it seemed like everybody was through hiking the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were through hiking kind of because all the people on the last day, we just didn't didn't argue with them. They were like, congratulations. I was like, thank you. Appreciate it.
Please, some
Appreciate it.
imposter-ness going on there for sure.
Yeah.
I think we were all just so tired though.
Yeah. I didn't want to like, okay. I didn't want to like stop and say, oh, let me explain. What we're doing here is like, no, I just thanks, you know.
I just waved, and as I went by, I was like, "Hey."
That was the third night, wasn't it?
No, this
That's
was at the water stop. The beginning.
Oh,
of
it
day
was,
5.
wasn't it? Okay.
This was
Okay.
end of day 4. That was that tiny little campsite. That's all we could muster. You guys had gotten there already, and I think Crow and I came shortly after.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, it still was a great campsite though. That sunrise was cool off the mountain there.
Yeah, that was really cool. Nice little touch. So,
was it that day that I was challenging Taylor? You know, talking about how he was walking so slowly and everything. He's going to let a man 10 years older than him pass him. So then it motivated him. Then he's like, he was gone.
for day 4 or for day 5?
I think it's just not the whole time. I come up behind him and I was like, I think you're the person that drives in the passing lane all the time with, you know, never get over. So I was challenging him. I was pushing him. So he'd get mad and he'd take off.
Well, he's the marathon runner, so we expect him to be in the front
runner,
all the
so
time.
I was worried that I was going to piss Andy and Crow off.
Well, you two would just take off, and Crow and I would kind of look at each other like, I'm not catching them.
Well, like I said, you know, I channeled my inner Leonidas. You know, I can remember I told you guys that story one time. I think he may be on here. He told his wife that he couldn't hike slow because it hurt his knees, and so I channeled my inner Leonidas. I can't hike slow; it hurts my knees.
Leonidas said Crow hikes best when he's sick. Well, not really, not on this one. I was just barely going. I had good days and bad days. I was like it's like my transmission was kind of going bad, but it was just kind of hanging in there, you know.
I don't know. I think you did pretty well. I don't think anybody. I mean, I had a day or two that was really tough. But even I think when people weren't doing great, it wasn't like we weren't sitting around for a real long stretches of time. Taylor, you and Jeff were out in front typically, but especially at the back half of that hike. But like we would kind of keep you guys in visual distance, except for maybe 1 or 2 times right at the end of the day where it's like, all right, we got a mile to camp, and you guys would be like, all right, we'll see you there. And you guys would take off.
Yeah. But what was the bridge that went over where that final climb is? That was my favorite day of hiking. Is that day 5?
That went over.
I say bridge, but it was like it's like the bridge to Terabithia. It was like between those 2 peaks that where the old lady with the dog Taff or whatever his name was.
You called the other name?
Reggie.
His name. It was something else.
It's like Tate.
Tate. Yeah, with the goggles.
Yeah.
That day was a great day hiking. I mean, I just love those 2 peaks.
Yeah.
Where Jeff filmed us from way far away, those 2 peaks were amazing.
Oh man, Reggie.
That lady was like, "That's not my dog's name. What are you talking about?"
Reggie didn't even want to come hang out with you after you called him that. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was probably the most like visually epic day, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that was my favorite
Is
day.
that day 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, sitting there and just looking at the expanse was amazing, and seeing the snow and everything. Yeah, there's Reggie. Hey, Reggie.
Yes, Reggie. Nice.
She was the one that told us something about just tell me to get my slow ass out of the way.
Yeah,
if I get in your way. She was so
I mean,
funny.
She had a snake tattoo on her forearm, so I think she even had a teardrop tattoo but I didn't want to stare too closely. But she had like that rattlesnake on her arm.
Well, and she had one that said like "embrace the suck."
Oh yeah.
Because you were wearing the
I
hat.
mean, she might have been an older lady, but she looked like the lady to piss off, though.
No, she was tough.
Yeah.
She had mind over matter on this side.
Yeah.
So was that day? That's day 4 or 5. They ran together.
I think that was day 5, wasn't it? That we were passing her up at near the top.
Because that's when we head down the mountain on this side. Yeah.
We went over those balds first when we were up there and we crossed her.
Yeah. And I'm talking about that little like rocky area between those two peaks that looked like some sort of ancient bridge. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Have you got that, Andy?
Yeah, I do. Let me see if I can pull that up.
That was amazing. That was my favorite kind of feature.
Yeah, it was like a little natural bridge walkway that just connected 2 peaks.
Yeah, it's like a knife edge.
Yeah. And it wasn't like super narrow, but
right out there.
Yeah.
You can see right across that it would kind of fall off on one side and cliffs on the other, and you just have a little trail right between. So that was pretty cool.
And I think that is the last 12,000 foot climb on the Colorado Trail if you're headed south. It's right there.
Yeah, I heard somebody saying that.
Yeah, I read it in the comments too. Because I was reading, people were saying this is the last point to cry for your last 12,000 foot climb until heading into Durango.
1290. Okay. This is probably when. Yeah, this is where we stopped. I got a little video. I don't know if she comes into frame or not. But the trail goes right by that last peak, and we were so close to the top. I was like, I'm just going to run up and take some pictures up there. But that's where we kind of took packs off for a couple minutes. Do you remember that section? We were just kind of
that's where he sat down. Taylor took a really good picture of me sitting there that I'll use.
Yeah, and then she walks up with Reggie or whatever the dog's name was.
Tate.
Tate with the T.
Yeah. That's how I remember this, because she said Tate with a T.
Oh, did she really?
Yeah.
On that section, I always felt like I was, well, not always, but I felt like I was hiking by myself at times, because you guys would take off because I'd be either droning or I'd just be video something, and I'd look up and like, okay, well, this is, I'm fine hiking by myself, but you guys, I'd see like real far away, and I'm like, all right, I guess I got some distance to make up here to get back with the team. But yeah, that was also the cool part about that, is you could see throughout, you could see where people were along that ridge. Yeah, that's when you went up to the top.
Yeah, I still
that was beautiful. The colors of the rock and everything, it just was my favorite view. Yeah,
that was really kind of neat, just getting up there, and you could see the passes up ahead. We couldn't see any of this yet, so I got a short little glimpse of just what the lake was like, where we stopped and got water down in the valley below. You could kind of make it out there, and then the views all the way around. So, yeah,
that was quite a view up there.
Yeah, it really was. So we finished day 5. Day 6 was, I don't know, maybe the only really eventful thing about day 6 was hiking in the dark.
Oh, right? Yeah. Very early morning.
Because we decided.
And it was Andy's idea to get up that early.
Yeah.
He just so adamant about getting up.
I am such an early riser all the time. And
it's like, guys, let's get up at 3.
And Crow, remember the climb we did at the end of the day? The day before to get to camp? We were like,
gosh.
Like, oh, there's this massive climb. Should we camp at the bottom where there's guaranteed sites?
That felt like an
Or-
AT climb there for a second.
Yeah, it was straight up.
It's just all
Huge grade.
switchbacks. They kind of went ahead, I think, because we get to the top and they're just sitting there like, hey, glad you guys could join us.
And they said this campsite is a no-go.
Yeah.
Crow immediately said, I'm good right here.
I said, this is good. I'm good.
Yeah, he did. I'm done. This is good. We were down at the bottom, and there was those sites right by the bridge, and we're like, well, do we want to take these big open ones, or do we want to chance it and climb up this cliff face?
The gamble paid off, though.
Yeah.
It did. I would not have wanted to do that day 6.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. To start the day? Not at all.
No.
So from that standpoint, it worked out all right.
Where is that? Is that day 5?
That's the climb at the end of the day of day 5.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Going up that switchback.
PTSD on that one.
There's just cliff on each side, and we just keep working our way up. I don't know. What was that, like 800, 900 feet? Something like we had to do in a couple miles.
In a mile. Yeah, a couple miles.
Pretty short.
Yeah.
But luckily there was water.
Yeah. I just get in my mind that I can rest when I get to the top, and I'm just going to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And so that's just kind of my mantra, when it comes to steep climbs like that. I'll rest when I get up there. But I know that a lot of times on the hikes, we all did this. We would hike and our heart rate would get so high, and we would take a little breather and try to get our heart rate back down, and then we could progress on. And it's just that little bit of recovery kind of gave us what we needed to keep pushing on because of the lack of oxygen, elevation, and so on. But that was very helpful also.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't think day 6 was going to end as far as the hike. It was 12, almost 13 miles out. And it was just like, it was pretty, but I was just ready to get to some town food.
We were done. We were ready for a shower, some food, and then get on the road. So that one did kind of drag on for a few extra miles. At least it felt like it just wasn't going to stop.
It did. No, it felt like it, definitely.
I even had the dumb idea to call into work to burn time.
Yeah. Let me add some headaches.
Exactly.
No thanks.
No. So we made it back to town. We found the rec center had showers for like $8-10, something like that. You could get showers and change. So we did that. Grabbed some food. And then
good pizza.
Was it pizza? No, we did. We had burgers.
Oh, we had a burger. Yeah, the grass-fed burger. That's right.
Yeah.
We're not in Breckenridge yet.
Yeah.
That's right.
We're still in Durango. And then we drove.
Awesome.
We drove 5 hours after the burger to get Breck.
Yeah.
Because the goal was the next day we were going to summit the 14er.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is where Crow somehow switched into superpowers.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, Crow
I've
was
never
like,
seen this dude hike this fast.
He was totally sandbagging it up until that point. All 6 days, he was just pulling the wool over our eyes, thinking like, "Oh, woe is me! You guys, go ahead. I'll catch up." And then we get to like the real deal, the 14er. So Quandary.
Me and Andy are over there like huffing and puffing, and Crow is like he's on a case of speed where he was like, "This is great, guys. I'm just trucking on up. I'm so excited."
Oh yeah,
like, dude, what got into you?
He was so far in front of us, like at times we couldn't even see him. We were like, "Do you see Crow up there?" No, I think there's clouds in the way. I can't see him.
Yeah, right.
And then
the funny thing was, you guys took off. Remember, I got so far behind.
Yeah.
I come out to that road, and I was like, "Do I take a right or do I take a left?"
Oh, yeah.
And so I hike. So I take the right because that's kind of my gut feeling. Okay, it's got to be that way. And I'm hiking. I don't come to where the sign that says trail. Just so happens I turn around. I'm going to go back and look because I taken a picture of the trail sign. but it was blurry. I couldn't tell anything from this stupid picture that I'd taken because I always take a picture of the trail sign, of the map. And so it just so happened as I was coming back down, a shuttler came down. I asked him, was like, "Where's the trail?" And he's like, "Oh, it's just another 100 yards." And so I was like, "Okay, so I'm on the right path." He's like, "Yeah, just keep going." And so I hit the woods, and I'm like, "Okay." And then I had the confidence, and I would film and get behind again. But eventually I saw you guys when it opened up, and I could see real far off into the distance.
To be fair, I tried to call you multiple times. I was worried about you.
Right. I mean, I had it on airplane mode because I didn't think there would be that great of cell signal. So
the funny part about this story is, so this line in purple is the climb to Quandary. The part that Jeff got lost is
right there at the beginning. That road.
It's between the overflow lot and where the trail starts.
Yeah,
exactly. He's on this road, McCullough Gulch, just wandering back and forth aimlessly for
that was
half an hour, while the rest of us are like up here on the trail somewhere.
Pretty much.
But he got lost before we actually got to the trail.
That's right.
We thought you had a blowout poop or you got altitude sickness, or
no,
because it was so unusual for you to be that far behind.
Yeah.
I mean, it all worked out. I got some time to, have some inner thoughts. Some quiet time and everything over the next hour. So, but I eventually, like I said, caught up with you guys.
See, we have video evidence that you actually made it to the top eventually.
I did.
That's good.
I did.
Well, he caught up to us somehow. He caught up to us before we got to the top.
That's true. It was probably the goats that slowed us down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see the goats. I saw the video.
You didn't see these guys?
Yeah, I did not.
They were everywhere.
I was herding them.
This guy gets really close to me at the end. Like he's within like 3 or 4 feet of me, and I notice like those horns are kind of sharp. I'm gonna keep walking backwards.
Yeah, they just kind of came and then they disappeared. They were gone after a little while. But that was a great choice for a 14er, Andy. That was a perfect place. And I know there's no easy 14ers, but I would imagine that's not one of the hardest ones, I guess, of the 58, right?
Yeah. So you can go online. You can look at like 14ers.com. There's a couple different sites. There's Facebook groups too that are great resources to look up, and they rank them and they rate them by like easiest to hardest. These were all, the ones I looked at were all like class 1. So you can walk up the trail all the way to the top. There's no scrambling. There's no, ropes. There's none of that kind of stuff. It's just, like the pictures say, they might be pretty steep, but you're just hiking like that the whole time. So I think we gained about 3,500 feet in about 3.5 miles. So it's 1,000 feet per mile. So it's quite a steep climb, but but pretty easy, I guess, when you think of like, you're not scaling like cliff faces or anything weird like that.
Anybody that's in fairly okay, physical shape could probably do that. Probably do it. Now it may take them a long time if they're not in excellent physical conditioning, but I think anybody could do it. We saw some people like, wow, if you go guy, you go girl, or and stuff like that. But it was very rewarding at the top.
I think that last like quarter mile though, if I heard one more person say you're almost there, I was, oh my God, be quiet.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a perfect hike.
You said about everything. It's like every time you turn a corner, it's like, oh my, this is terrific.
It was, man.
Hey guys, you think we could do a walk by real quick?
Oh yeah, on that.
Yeah.
We only did 2 on the 14er.
I know, Crow. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, that was a great hike. I just enjoyed every second of it. I mean, it was nicer when we were at top because you kind of forget how hard it is when you're sitting on top, real quickly.
Those goats, they get a little out of hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
we trail run down to try to catch the shuttle and end up staying anyway, right? But it paid off.
It did. Yeah, so they do the shuttle from Breck. You can either get a parking pass, and it's like, I don't know, $30 to $50 for a parking pass, but they're limited, and you got to do it 2 weeks ahead of time, and it's kind of like first come, first serve. If they're gone, they're gone. But if you park down by the gondola station in town, it's like $7, $8, something like that, and they'll run shuttles every half an hour up the mountain. So we just had to get down by, I forget what time it was. We were trying to hit like 3 o'clock or 3:30 or 2:30 or something like that. And we had like a mile to go, and it was like 10 minutes until the shuttle got there or something. So we start running past people trying to get to the shuttles. And
First time I ever seen Crow trail run.
Yeah, he was out in front. Dude. Like, what a day Crow had. He was killing it to the top, and then he's the one sprinting to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good day.
Yeah.
1 out of 7.
1 out of 7.
Yeah.
Well, then we get down, and that just so happens that lady comes up and says,
oh yeah,
you need a ride. And we're like, heck yeah, we need a ride. You gonna take us all the way into Breck? And I'm like, she's like, yeah.
One of the locals. She's like, yeah, I live up the road. Just jump in. So all 4 of us jump in and get a ride into town.
Hopefully, the closest I'll ever sit to Crow and Andy.
Yeah. I got a lot of leg sweat on me from that.
Gross.
Yeah, there was a little snuggling going on in the back seat.
Snuggling. It's like necking and
Now you guys got to go back and do Elbert. Yeah, I did Elbert. That was the first one I did. That's not hard. It's a little longer.
I want to go back and do the Chicago Basin. I think that's what got me intrigued.
Oh yeah, yep. That would be that'd be a fun one too. Maybe doing one of the 14ers back there. It's a little harder. I think those are class 2 and 3.
I know.
So
I want to do something with a little bit of challenge.
No ropes and helmets though. You're not talking about that stuff, are you?
No, I mean,
are some of the 14ers ropes and helmets?
I think there might be one back in there.
Okay.
There's like 3, maybe something like that, 2 or 3 that are back in the Chicago Basin area, and I know there's a couple in that area that are 13ers. That
Crow, don't forget, you got to have your gear for when we do Capitol Peak.
Nope. It's a hard no on that one.
Yeah,
Seen the video.
Yeah.
A very quick story. I told Crow, I said, we should, and I was just messing with him. I said, we should do Capitol Peak when we go out there. And he didn't know nothing about it, so he looked it up on YouTube. And he texted me back like an hour later, and he was like, dude, I'm not doing that.
It did not look fun at all.
No? You won't do that?
No.
Parachute down to it?
That's outside your comfort zone, bro.
What gear did y'all take that you wish you hadn't taken?
Is there anything you guys would change before we wrap
Got
up?
3 things.
Okay.
Not burn your chair?
Nope.
That is
There it is.
pro, isn't it? Yeah,
That's
pro.
That's capital, yeah.
I'm hoping to do that for the end of my days. That might be my last day.
Okay, so the weird thing about that is
crazy.
if you're doing that and people come the other direction, you have to hang
Move
off
over
to
for them
one
to cross.
side and they hang off the other side and you kind of shimmy past each other because
That's
there's
right.
not room for you to both pass on the top.
That's right.
That's crazy. No, thank you.
Yeah, that one's
Look at that loose rock. That'll make you nervous
it
right
is.
there.
And people fall from
can't
that
even walk it.
every year, pretty much.
No.
That looks awesome.
Look at that. Nope. Maybe
So
on
that's
the
one of the
mountain bike.
14ers that you have to do to get all 58?
If you wanted to, that's one of them.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Crow said I'm out.
No.
I'll do like 20, right? There's probably about 20 that we can do that are
Yeah.
not too bad. Would you guys change anything in your setup? Like Crow asked.
I would have got rid of the chair. I don't know why I brought it. I would have got rid of the umbrella because the wind, if we're in a storm, was going to be too crazy anyways for it. And then this is a personal one. Nobody else did that. I shouldn't have not brought my Crocs, but it was nice having my feet breathe at night. So, but that would have dropped me 2.5, 3 pounds just between those three things. So,
yeah. What was your pack weight before you started?
Oh man, I have that in a picture now. I can't remember. I think it was 25 pounds or something like that.
Like with food and water?
That's with food.
Okay.
I think, yeah, with food, no water.
Okay. Crow, would you change anything?
I took too many battery banks. I packed my fears, and I was afraid I was going to run out of. So I took one too many battery banks, and I took I left out a lot of stuff that night before because I talked to y'all and I said, hey, should I take this or this? And I'm glad I did because Jeff got me about another pound down on food, and I took a fleece that I didn't take a fleece. So yeah, I'll probably lose the umbrella too. I never used it.
Yeah. Jeff, anything?
Well, obviously the chair. I know why I took it, because the crew, everybody said, oh yeah, I'm taking a chair. And then
The funniest one is Crow was adamant every time. Yeah, I'm bringing my chair, and then I get a camp and I look who doesn't have their chair.
So, I could have totally been fine without it. I kind of broke my own code there. But I'm the same with the umbrella. I think there's only really two items I wouldn't have brought, and that's the chair and the umbrella, for the same reason. The wind would have just been too crazy for it. I would have just, dealt with it. But other than that, I felt like I had stuff pretty much dialed in the way I like it, because that's what I carry all the time. So my weight was at 27 and a half, I think, full kitted and everything. So I felt pretty good. I never felt like I was suffering with weight the entire time when it comes to the pack.
Besides when I had
other
10
than
pounds
carrying
of water.
the 4 pounds of water, that I was gosh.
Yeah, that was no fun. But you just kind of suck it up and do it. You got to, but it's you consume it as you go, and it lightens as the day goes on. So that was also a motivating factor in the back of my head. You just compartmentalize it. That hey, this is just part of it, and we got to do it. If I want to do this, I've got to do that, and and so that's just the way I try to move forward with the suck factor, if there's any suck factor. But I think the weather really played a big part in my mental state, to where, those little nagging things, if the weather's bad, if you're soaking wet, can really magnify other things. But we had such great weather that those little things that kind of would stick out in your mind as you're hiking, it kind of just melted away as you went on, and you see some of the views and everything. So that's my thought. What about you, Andy?
I would have brought Benadryl to help me sleep at night. So I would have added that. It would have been nice if I left my chair at home, because then I'd still have my chair. And I would have also. It would have been nice if I left my trowel at home, because then I would still have my trowel, because it's at campsite 3, I think, right now. So if anybody finds Andy Parrish Outdoors, the little dirt diggler, it's at campsite. I think it's campsite 3. Maybe it's 4. Is it when we came over the pass, the big one, Blackhawk? That first camp on the way down. It's sitting there somewhere. And then
that's the one where Crow took a poop in the middle of a campsite.
I will not confirm or deny.
Throw him under the bus.
There is a rock over it, though.
To be fair, I don't think he did. I'm just being funny.
The other thing that I would leave behind is I wouldn't have brought fuel, because you guys brought so much. Like, I could have just used Crow's, or I could have used Taylor's, because you guys got the big, like...
I think one night everybody cooked with mine.
Yeah. I still had some left over, and I didn't... Maybe it went through more than half of mine.
I had
about
some
it.
big ramen bowls. Okay.
You did. You did. I get it. So, well, that's it. That's it in a nutshell, I guess. Well, thanks, guys, for coming on tonight and chatting a little bit about that. Everybody look forward to each of them are going to have a video out. So watch for that. And Crows will be out in about 6 months.
Yep.
I think mine will be
That's-
out probably 4 months.
4. I'm going to try and have mine out maybe 3.
I'll shoot for probably October, hopefully by the
Yeah.
October before the winter gets here.
Yeah. Before the winter's here.
I don't want to rush this one. I want it to be a good one.
I may do the 14er first. I may do that quick.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And put that out, and then do the other ones. So,
Nice.
but that's it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks
Had a
everybody
blast,
out
you
there.
guys.
We appreciate you. And until next time, everybody, be well.